So why on earth would English desperately need 17 more words? I mean, English already has one of the biggest vocabularies of all languages on earth, so you'd think English would have a word for everything, except it doesn't, like the day after tomorrow. What's the word for that again? Oh wait, there's no word for it. In fact, I found 17 amazing words that other languages have that we desperately need in English.
I can't believe I ate that whole thing.
You ate it, Ralph.
I can't believe I ate that whole thing.
If you overdose on food, there is a word for that. You had enough, but you keep on eating. It was all by accident, of course, because actually you didn't intend to eat so much. The dinner made you do it, right? You feeling me?
Okay, we'll get that 2 Ramadan specials, please.
Add 2 extra make it 4 extra samosas. Give me 6-piece falafel and don't forget my tahini sauce, habibi. And thank you. I think I overdid it just a little bit this time.
Shemomechama. Technically, it only means to eat, but there are other layers of meaning. You blame it on the food and not yourself for just like tasting so good.
Just a smidgen more, we'll say as we loosen our belts. And before we know it, we'll have eaten everything.
So you summon up a wonderful word to take the fall. It's a Georgian word meaning I accidentally ate the whole thing. I'm not joking, it means exactly that. And this is just one of many, many amazing words that you are about to encounter. Usually this happens when something tasted so good that you just couldn't resist. There's singing, there's laughter, there's wine drinking, and then voila, Shemomechama happens. Kind of reminds me of something the adults used to say. What do you think? Could we use this in English? If we had a word like this, it would be pretty useful for anything accidental, just to bury the shame. But there is more food shaming coming. A lot more.
Mouth is bored. 입이 심심하다.
I can already tell that you're going to try this word out. Oh, you did already? Well, I get it. It's really fun to say, and you say it when you're not hungry, but you feel like a snack or something, especially something sweet. It's a Korean word, if you never got that from this. The closest we get in English is, I've got the munchies.
crunch, munch. 그러면 아삭바삭.
But the munchies come with a little bit of hunger, and the Korean meaning is funny. I eat because my mouth is bored.
입이 심심해요. When you're not hungry, but you want to eat something because your mouth wants something.
Of course, a mouth can neither be curious nor bored, which makes me wonder how we'll ever convince the English police that we desperately need this word. But here's how we could use it. I'm stuck in traffic, so boring, but don't worry, there's a 입이 심심하다 coming to my rescue. There's a Japanese version of this as well that means I eat because my mouth is lonely. Well, the punishment is coming.
Io ho un po' un abbiocco, raga, va. Quindi stasera disco? Quando? Boh, per le 11. Ma perché? Ma dai, non puoi passartela a sbadigliare in faccia alla gente. Non rompe i coglioni, dai.
It's another magic word that allows you to blame something else. A merciless attack of Abbiocco will ensure that the dishes don't get done by you. Abbiocco is a sleepy feeling that you get after a big meal.
Abbiocco. It's how you feel after a huge meal, also known as food coma. Abbiocco.
Well, there you go. Abbiocco is an Italian food coma, but there's no exact equivalent in English. So imagine you've been guilty of Shemomechama, and the next thing you know... Yeah, you remember that time. I know you do. It's an irresistible drowsiness, and all you want to do, happened to me yesterday actually, is collapse in on yourself. And as far as I know, only the Italians have managed to enshrine the phenomenon in a single word. Abbiocco originally came from dialects of central Italy. How could we use this in English? I could use it all the time. Next Thanksgiving, for example, after your living room is transformed into a post-dinner nap haven, you'll realize your whole family has succumbed to Abbiocco. So if we already do it, why don't we have the word? We need Abbiocco, at least after we've done this one other thing.
This was fun, guys. We should do it again.
Oh, we're just getting started. It's time for Sobremesa.
What?
Sobremesa.
This word is so wonderful, I truly wish we had it in English. Why are we always in such a rush? See, Spanish people have a tradition called Sobremesa, and without this brilliant word, there would be no excuse to linger around the table for after-lunch conversation.
This is the conversation that you have after eating, but you're still sitting at the table. Mi familia siempre habla de política en la sobremesa.
And you definitely can't leave. Oh no, you still have to have your final course of sobremesa. Doesn't matter what you talk about, you just enjoy the company of other people. And having a word for this is the perfect excuse to do it.
We just sit here and share.
Just start sharing.
Oh.
You gotta share. Share something.
Yeah, share something.
This
Someone
is when you share
something.
Are us English speakers in too much of a rush? Probably because we don't even have siesta. What's up with that? So why should we have the word sobremesa in English? Well, that's a no-brainer because we'd just be less stressed and life would be just better. Now, before we carry on, are you interested in learning Spanish? Perhaps you've tried to learn Spanish in the past but didn't get very far. Maybe it's been on your bucket list for ages. Well, I've created a 10-day challenge to start learning Spanish, and I'd like to invite you to join. Now, the 10-day challenge lasts, wait for it, 10 days, and you'll get one lesson a day that lasts only 10 minutes. And my promise is that by the end of the 10 days, you will have tried out my unique method of language learning called StoryLearning and will not believe how much Spanish you've managed to learn in a very short time. Like one student who said, I learned more in your 10-day challenge than 620 days doing Duolingo. So whether you've been dreaming of learning Spanish for years, you've got a trip coming up, maybe you've tried and struggled to learn in the past, my 10-day challenge is perfect for you as you'll discover a more natural way to learn Spanish using stories, not rules. And it's also perfect for you if you don't have much time and you just want to try something that you know works. So if you're ready to get started with Spanish and you've got 10 minutes a day, then join my new 10-day Spanish challenge today. Right now, we are running a big discount offer on the challenge, so it's the perfect time. There's a link in the description, which you can click to find out more. You know that feeling of anticipation or even frustration when you're waiting for someone to turn up? Maybe you're expecting a special parcel. Here's a good one. The pizza delivery guy. He's late, you're starving, so you keep going outside to check if anyone is coming. Well, there is a word for that. It's so great because it covers everything, the anticipation and the constant checking. It's an Inuit word, Iktsuarpok. Wait a minute, Inuits have a word for that? The pizza delivery part, maybe? Okay, well, we could use it in English. I wish they would hurry up. Your Iktsuarpok is driving me nuts.
Dancing, walking, rearranging furniture.
If you think someone had a really stupid idea, like rearranging the furniture at midnight until the house looked like a nonsensical maze, perhaps they had a Schnapsidee. Maybe it seemed like a good idea at the time, but it didn't work out because the plan was so ridiculous in the first place. You must have been intoxicated when you thought it up.
Die Schnapsidee. Literally, it means the hard liquor idea. But actually, it's a really crazy idea. So when you come up with something totally crazy, people would probably say, oh, das ist eine Schnapsidee.
Well, I asked some other Germans and they said you can actually use this word for any situation where somebody got a little bit carried away.
Schnapsidee.
Schnapsidee. Okay, so it's Schnaps, an idea, which means you have a stupid idea. Yeah,
it's the kind of idea you have when you're not drunk, but you think, okay, were you drunk when you had that idea?
kind of the best ideas.
Yeah, sometimes, definitely, always.
Sometimes, definitely, always, got it. But the question is, should we have it in English? Well, I can see it working as a billboard warning on the road to Vegas. Don't get any Schnapsidees. Do you believe happiness can be learned? If so, then you might know this one.
Someone is calling me and asking me what we're doing, and I can say, "Vi Hygge sig." In English, I would probably answer, "We're chillin'." I would definitely call him a Hygge expert. Basically, Hygge is what he does all day long, all day, every day, pretty much, right?
The word Hygge has exploded in popularity all around the world. So if you already know it, then tell me what it means to you, and I'll tell you mine at the end.
It's Hygge. Hygge.
Hygge roughly translates to coziness, and everyone's go-to always seems to be a winter scene, couples cozying up around the fire for a movie, super chilled families just chatting about life, eating squishy puddings and pancakes, candlelight glowing on everyone's faces, nothing more Hygge than that. And I get it. Denmark has a very long winter with little sunlight, so they need something to mentally combat the pain. But the real meaning is so much more. In essence, it's about creating an emotionally warm atmosphere, whatever that means to you. Building a snowman at midnight? Sure. But contrary to popular belief, you don't have to be cold to experience it.
Once you've got your space set up, slow down, settle in,
and sink into that Hygge feel.
Some people's giant soul hug is just going to come from a different thing. It's your Hygge, except we don't actually have it in English, do we? It's a Nordic concept. Swedish and Norwegian have their own words for it, and so does German. So I think it's high time they shared it with us English speakers. If we only had a word for it, we would have to do it. I swear I'd make myself a massive Hygge cave, a little bit like this room right here, the bottle of whiskey in there, 21-year-old hibiki, my jazz records, bunch of language books. I better stop there. And if you're wondering how to get started with feeling Hygge, try this, like and subscribe and turn on notifications. Then watch this video to see how the Danes Hygge all the time. Now, time for a serious moment, but I bet you're going to smile. The Inuits have a complicated word with a great meaning that nobody can pronounce, but not to worry, I found a similar word closer to home. If a Zulu person says you have this thing, they're saying you are an honorable person. Ubuntu is an African word meaning I am because we are, and it describes a philosophy of humanity towards others.
Ubuntu means I am because we are, and recognizes the inescapable truth that we are all connected by our shared humanity.
People in Southern Africa use this word all the time, especially in situations where everyone needs to work together for the common good. It can be anything from feeding people to building a house together for a family in need, but it goes deeper than that. The idea is that your well-being is linked to my well-being. Everything that you do affects others around you, so you should do things with grace and respect. Kids are taught this from a young age.
When we share our talents with others, we can all enjoy shows together.
And sharing is Ubuntu.
Okay, guys, let's go.
Ubuntu, I am what I am because of who we all are. Isn't that cool? We could use it in English to inspire and rally everyone together. Come on, guys, let's embrace the spirit of Ubuntu and build this skate park together. I don't know why that example came up. And now, ready for some weird fun?
In middle school, Yuta was openly devoured by this Chunibyo-like behavior. Calling himself the Dark Flame Master, he would wear unspeakably embarrassing clothing and talk like an all-powerful being.
This is a great one, and if you've ever been guilty of Chunibyo, you can tell us. Come on, this is a safe space.
You probably think I'm in the chair because my legs are weak. But it's the opposite. My muscles are so strong that my bones can't support them. But lucky for me, my brain's the same way.
Okay, that's from a Super Kids movie, but sometimes kids act this way for real. The literal meaning of the Japanese word is middle school syndrome, or 8th grader syndrome if you're in the US, although I've been warned that anyone of any age can catch it. It goes something like this.
Chunibyo is a term for a time in your life when you're between the primary school and the middle school stages, and you kind of try to be different, you try to be edgy, and you think maybe you have a superpower, or maybe you try to listen to different music because no one else understands you. That time is called Chunibyo.
I can understand it's just a phase. They desperately want to stand out and have convinced themselves that they have hidden knowledge or secret powers. The dark side is some Chunis get so overdramatic and precocious because of their special powers. It can be rather embarrassing, but since it's an option for adults too, I'm seeing a good time.
Oh, take down!
And if we had this word in English, we could say things like, the party got lit when so-and-so's Chunibyo emerged.
To Illinois on the day after tomorrow.
Imagine a world where we didn't need to say the entire phrase the day after tomorrow every time that we made plans or every time we sang a song about it. Well, the Georgians have a solution, and it's called zeg. Yep, that's right. Just zeg, not the day after tomorrow, which is not fair at all when you think about it, because actually a lot of languages have a word for the day after tomorrow. See, those guys were thinking ahead, planning picnics, setting dates, scheduling Netflix nights, which reminds me...
I'm afraid that time has come and gone, my friend.
Remember this movie? It is all about zeg, but they had to call it the day after tomorrow because altogether now there is no zeg. You see, we need this word, guys. Funny thing is, we used to have a word like this, but we'd need a time machine to bring back overmorrow. Also, doesn't sound great, and zeg is much better.
I love this word, zeg. In English, we don't have a word for that. We call it the day after tomorrow.
So how about the day before yesterday? Well, this one also exists in many languages, as you can see, and you can take the concept even further. In Georgian, mazeg is similar to zeg and means the day after tomorrow. I mean, that's pretty cool, but there's one badass language that wins them all.
As far as I've found, the record belongs to the Kalam tribe, also of New Guinea, who can use a single word to talk about 6 days on either side of today. Although it would be nice if English adopted a system like this to avoid that confusion where it's Monday and someone says, "See you next Tuesday." Do they mean tomorrow, or do they mean a week from tomorrow?
Great point. But when you don't even need a good reason at all, there's a fantastic word for that.
Ek nou so gehardloop, ek is so moeg. Ek kan nou sommer die swembad se water opdrink. Oh, baie dankie, baie dankie, baie dankie.
Here is a great word. You can use it whenever you don't have an actual reason to do anything. It means something like just because, as in, why did you make the cat swim in the pool? Just because. Why weren't you at work today? Sommer. I mean, come on, how many languages give you the perfect excuse word? It comes from Afrikaans and implies something done on a whim, but the meaning can be stretched like a gigantic stretchy elastic. It always sounds like an adequate justification.
As hulle sê, "Gooi vir my 'n drinkie, gooi ek sommer vir hulle Trappel."
Yep, you can Sommer pour a triple whiskey if you feel like it, and I can Sommer buy a plane ticket to a Greek island. No reason, no explanations. Basically, it's an incredibly versatile, sometimes cheeky little filler word. Even English South Africans will say, just Sommer, which makes me wonder if it's already possible for them. Can we just steal it for English? Here's what I'm thinking. Instead of awkwardly explaining, I decided to stay in Vegas for the whole week just because, you know, it was convenient. You could just say, I, Sommer, decided to stay. Done.
We don't want to stand out. We just want to be just perfect and don't make too much noise and not too little noise. It's just lagom. It's a good word to know.
If you want to live a Viking lifestyle, well, listen up. Here is a word that's all about balance and harmonious living. It means to have just the right amount, not too much, not too little.
Vikings, when they were having a meal, they only had one bowl of food and one drinking horn with mead that had to be passed around.
Laget om, or around the team, meant that the mead had to make it to everyone's lips, requiring that each Viking only take an adequate sip, so that there would be some for everyone.
Sounds like the Vikings got a lot of things right. Honestly, this is the romanticized version of the story, but it gets the point across nicely. It's a concept deeply ingrained in the Swedish mind. You need balance in everything. Work, play, eating, emotions. You should aim to be modest, yet confident, and lagom is definitely not trying to be perfect.
We are content with moderation and practice self-restraint in becoming too extravagant and filling our lives with unnecessary things.
How could we claim this for English? Well, imagine if we used it as the new lifestyle mantra. It's a world of extremes out there, guys. You'll be finding the lagom balance would be good for us all. I'm going to throw in a bonus word here, yokomeshi. Now, yokomeshi is how the Japanese define the peculiar stress you feel when speaking a foreign language. Can you believe it? And if you're learning a language, I don't want you to feel any yokomeshi at all. That's why I believe in teaching languages the most natural way possible, which is, of course, through stories. Think about it. How did you learn big words when you were tiny? Well, you saw them in your storybooks, the stories that were read to you wherever, and learned their meaning and how they can be used from the context of the story. It works like magic, and this is why my method is called the StoryLearning method. And if you're curious to see how it works, all you got to do is click on this link in the description. It takes you to my fun and free downloadable StoryLearning kit, where you can find out all about how to learn a new language with stories. Check it out. You know that downright awful moment when you're about to introduce someone and you forget their name? It's so awkward and embarrassing. It doesn't get much worse than that. You're kind of panicking inside. And so what do? Well, the Scots have a word for it.
It's a tartle. A tartle is a Scottish term. So when you have an introduction, you go to introduce somebody and you know that when you're like, oh crap, I forgot their name. That's called a tartle.
I love that.
Next thing you know, you find yourself doing all sorts of stupid things to try and get them to say their name.
Oh, why don't we do name tags? Can you just do mine for me? Have it. Double parked. Oh, double parked. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's, yeah. How do you spell that? Just as it sounds. Yeah, just normal way. Not normal. Yeah, good. Okay. Here we go. And that is just on there.
There's nothing you can do except have a laugh at yourself. English meet tartle. Your go-to word for those cringe-worthy memory blips. I'm so sorry. I'm having a tartle moment. What's your name again? Problem solved.
I love the word Mamihlapinatapai.
A look shared by two people, each wishing that the other suggests something they both desire but are unwilling to initiate themselves.
One of the hardest words to translate comes from a language in South America, and it must be a good one because it's listed in the Guinness Book of World Records as the most succinct word. It's also quite beautiful, but I'll come back to that. Now, sadly, as of 2022, it is now a lost word. The last person who spoke the language has died.
Mamihlapinatapai.
Tell me if you agree. We should bring this back. It means a look without words that is shared by two people who want to initiate something, but neither of them wants to be the one to start it. It's just fantastic.
It can be perhaps two tribal leaders both wanting to make peace, but neither wanting to be the one to begin it. Or it could be two people at a party wanting to approach each other and neither quite brave enough to make the first move.
In other words, you're thinking the same thing, both each hoping the other will do it first. Maybe we should just call this to make each other feel awkward, but there's something deeply profound in this word.
Well, I mean, if that word exists in some far-off place in some dead language we don't understand, it means people everywhere can understand anyone, anywhere.
Well, isn't that something? And if we all have the innate ability to understand each other in just a look, it would be lovely to have a word to describe certain feelings. And I think I have a good one. Caught in a Mamihlapinatapai moment. Their eyes met, conveying unspoken agreement that dessert was a must. Nailed it.
Now, as I was driving to the theater to meet a friend of mine, we're watching Smile, the perfect thing! I thought of the perfect thing!
Ah, Treppenwitz. Germans everywhere, you know what I mean. Listen, if you're one of those people who can always think of the perfect comeback to an insult in the moment, I'm jealous and I'm happy for you.
Are you pregnant?
No. Are you?
She's good. Most of us are more like this.
Somebody makes a joke at you and you don't exactly know how to reply or get back at them, so you're just dang it, that was a good one. Dang it, that was so mean. Wait a second. But it's too late. Germans call this a Treppenwitz.
The literal meaning of Treppenwitz is step words, and it roughly translates into staircase wit. The way you think of the perfect comeback, but too late, like when you're already walking down the stairs to leave.
Remember when you let that slide? Yeah, you thought we forgot, huh?
How could we use this in English? Well, pretty much all the time, right? Since witty comebacks love to be fashionably late, we need a word for it, because when a word's in your head, you're more likely to think of ways that you can use it. In this case, practice comebacks until you're a comic genius. And if you can't think of one, next time someone insults you, don't panic, just say, oh really? Well, when the Treppenwitz come to me, I'll get back to you. Have you ever been guilty of Tingo? Before you say no, hear me out, because I think you probably have. We just don't have a word for it. But these guys do. If you ever visit Easter Island off Chile, also known as Rapa Nui, you might hear people speaking like this.
Ina yawi happy mai ai, isteara, paurote mahana kovananga au arokot no. And
these guys have gone to the trouble of coming up with a word for how certain unscrupulous friends exploit each other. Let's swing this around for a second. How many books are currently missing from your bookshelf? Can you even remember who borrowed them? If you have this problem, you need the word Tingo. In Rapa Nui, it means to borrow things from a friend's house one by one until there's nothing left. Oh, and you never return their possessions. That's the other part. But seriously, Tingo, it must be the cutest possible way to describe stealing that anyone has ever come up with. If we had this word in English, you could send out a group message to all of your WhatsApp contacts. Where's all my stuff? Who's Tingoing my house?
Holoholo, which means to cruise. So if somebody asks you where you going, what you up to, you just say holoholo.
If you like the sound of a Hawaiian lifestyle, or you just don't like talking too much, you're going to agree with me that this is an excellent word. What are you doing on Sunday? Holoholo. Cool. Can I come too? Hawaiians use it all the time when they want to say, let's go cruising. And what's awesome about this word is it's not too specific.
Holoholo translates to sailing, going on a stroll, or taking a ride. Why don't you get out today and have a little holoholo for yourself?
Holoholo just means you're going to do something laid back, have fun, clear your mind with or without friends. You just cruise. Whatever happens, happens. You go with the flow because it's all part of the adventure. Now, Hawaiians say it's the very definition of how they heal, because the more you holoholo, the more relaxed you are as a person and the better you cope when Monday morning comes. So it's a no-brainer for me. We need this word in English desperately, guys. And if you had fun in this holoholo, I have an even better adventure coming up in the next video. Whatever could it be? Well, click over here and you'll see exactly what's coming.